Grand Rising, welcome, welcome. Today is June 11th, 2020, or 1440 on the sun calendar, 1441 on the moon calendar. We're going to give it just a minute or two for those who are coming in, and thank you for those who are already here. So we'll go ahead and just say a few things. For starters, we know that we have been doing things using these two eyes, and also if there's just a little bit of housekeeping. If there's noise in the background, I'll go ahead and mute, or you can do it now by *16, so that if you have a lot of noise in your background, that others can hear. So we've been doing things.
Islam, Grand Rising Moors.
Grand Rising, welcome Empress. That's why I like to give it a minute or two after the hour. It's about 2 minutes after now. So, but we know that we've been doing things using these two eyes that we have, and then we've also been using what we were taught to say is our third eye, which is our pineal gland, which is our spiritual eye. It is metaphysical. It sees far into the past and the future, depending on how we use it and the energies that we open up to from our ancestors. And so there are things that are starting to evolve and change for us in our favor, absolutely. For example, and we were talking about this at the Empress's meeting yesterday, which was absolutely beautiful. With we are so grateful for Empress Delilah Passiel. Welcome, nobility. With Empress Delilah Passiel, she gave us some foundational wisdom that is much needed in our nation. Those who are registering a little high, if you hear me mute, it will be because your line is coming up on the sound meter, okay? And so we got some foundational adept chamber type knowledge and information yesterday from her, and so we're going to be continuing to get that type of amazing information from various elders in our nations and in our governments, and for that we are so grateful. So we talked briefly yesterday about when the third eye becomes the first eye, which I thought was just so apropos for our ancestors. They make it so that Grand Rising. Grand Rising. Okay, I am going to go ahead and mute the meeting until we open the floor again, so that we can get a few things in. Thank you. Okay, so so when our third eye becomes our first eye, we know that we have moved from descendants to ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient ancestors, the Moabites, the Canaanites, etc. Okay. Let's see. Just one moment. A little bit of noise coming from somewhere. I can't really see where. Okay. And so we are indeed the descendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the Moabites and Canaanites, to include Ruth the Moabitess. But we're also We are also the ascendants of the said nobility and of the bloodline and the birthright. So when your third eye becomes your first eye, then you will be able to clearly see beyond the seeming contradiction in which you may be living. So for some, for many, because I hear this quite a bit, and we've all heard it from Moors in one way or another, where we will say things are happening, and some won't see it at all. You know, it will not be clear at all. And so there are varying degrees of that first eye, okay? And that is a knowing that we have. Justice Jeremiah put in the chat that if your eye is single, that is knowing. Is that correct, Justice Jeremiah? I don't want to put words in your mouth. But so we are given two eyes to see that which is around us, okay? However, we're given that first eye, which some call their third eye, so that we can see what the real truth is. Because the things that that have been set out around us, we know that that is a matrix that is not what it seems. It is, again, yes, two eyes for perceiving the illusion. Okay? That's so that we can see the illusion that's around us. And then the third eye is so we can see who we really are. And so that we can see where we're going. And so that we can see that what we're seeing right now and what we're doing is directly related to where we're going. Okay? So for some, the contradiction, okay, is their reality. Okay? Again, your third eye becomes your first eye when you're able to clearly see beyond the seeming contradiction in which you may be living. So many of us have gone through so many things like evictions, domiciles being taken, jail, you know, I for one, in 2017. That was a contradiction to what we really are. We are the heirs to all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We know that. We know that by bloodline and birthright. That's who we are. And the things that we see with the two eyes, okay, will in many cases, until we fully awaken, it will be a contradiction to what really is. Because again, what we see with the two eyes says that albions are, you know, that's what some people see with their two eyes, that albions are ruling everything, and, you know, they're violating, and they're this and they're that, and it's all about like what albions are doing, you know, on our land. And that's what the two eyes see, but the first eye knows that all of that is an illusion and that the heirs have always been the authority on the land. And then when you see that our autographs were needed for everything, because nothing could be done without our consent, even when we were asleep. That's the third eye saying, you all have always been in charge of everything and the heirs to everything. Always been in command. And now we're able to see that with our first eye, which is the knowing, and then we move in that manner. And when we move from living the contradiction and seeing that and feeling that the contradiction is the truth, when we move from that mindset to the mindset of the first eye, which is we are self-governing. We are the heirs to all. We are the law. We are the governors, the sovereign governors. We are the imperial divyne. We're all of that. Okay? That's what the first eye will see and know is truth. And then when you look with your first eye, we'll actually start living that and start behaving in that manner and living that. We will be what we say and what we know our first eye tells us. Okay? So yes, some cannot see beyond that, and that's okay. At some point they will see beyond that. At some point they will know, because ultimately everyone will know. Truth is not going to change. It's going to manifest even more so. Our truth has always been the truth on the land. And now it's a matter of, okay, now that we can see and know our truth, and we see it manifesting, some are still using their third eye and some using that ability, that supernatural ability as a third eye. And then some have moved to it being the first eye perspective, where everything you see and everything you know and everything you say has everything to do with what that first eye is showing you. So for some, their reality, or what they perceive as their reality, is different from what we see and what we know is our reality. And that's okay. At some point they'll come along too. They will. And so those with foresight, that means to see before, are given foresight so that they can set the processes and systems in place for all of us to move forward together. Okay. For those of us, there's a question in the chat, and it's a beautiful question. For those of us moving and living with the first eye, how do we protect our physical being? If you are moving with the first eye all the way open, you will know that your physical being is not in danger at all. Number one, we live forever. So there's no way that anyone can make it so that, we killed all the Moors. It'll never happen. Not in trillions and trillions of years, even with interstellar and intercelestial stuff going on. We're still here. Always have been and always will be. And even when we shed this fleshly temple, we can come back at any time because God can do that. And there's more even before and after this. So protection is a matter of competence. And again, the universe mirrors whatever it is. It honors whatever energy we put out there. If we put peace energy out there, we'll get peace energy all day, every day. Okay? If we put war energy out there, we'll get war back. And then you will be wondering, where's the protection? Because you will need it. We're not at war. And a lot of times, and war just means confusion. And from the first eye perspective, we're not confused. We know where we're going. We know who we are. That's actually the most important thing. We're not confused about who we are. And if there's anyone under the sound of my voice, or over the sound of my voice, because sovereigns are always over everything, if you feel that we're at war, then there is some confusion there. There's a little bit of confusion there. And it can easily be cleared up. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's how you see it and how you feel. Okay, it needs to be cleared up so that you can move past that energy and continue to evolve and to ascend So that's from third eye to first eye. To me, is just so profound. I mean, that cannot be, that's an ascension either way you look at it. And then some are still only using two eyes. Those who think that they're Negro, black, colored, and African American, and they think that they have to march in the street, once the marching is over, then what? And marching is good for some. If that's what you want to do, that's good. We're not judging that. But once that's over, what has been accomplished? That's where we come in at. Because we have the law, we are the law, we are the government, and that is that's where the real action is. You know, we can look at all of that distraction out there. That's why it's called distraction, because it's not the real action. The real action is the court action and the sovereign acts and the sovereign things that we do, the affidavits, etc. There's a court action mentioned in the chat as well. Justice Amos Hotep Bey is having a court action on June 12th, 1440 at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern, and he has his information there. The dial-in number is 425-436-6307. Access code is 696206. So for those Moors who want to witness the authority that they have, and they want to see that authority in action, Justice Amos and those Moors that are doing the court actions can show you just how sovereign and how powerful you really are with the court action. We have sovereign jurisdiction on the land, in the air, the sea, the space, the universe. We are the sovereign jurisdiction, and that is the highest jurisdiction, and yes, it does supersede Article 3 jurisdiction. Sovereign jurisdiction is even higher than that, Islam. And we're not knocking Article 3. We love Article 3. But the sovereign jurisdiction is even higher. So, Islam, yes. Distraction versus court action, real action, all day, every day. So, in looking back through our history, because I was doing a lot of study, I did a few field trips this week out into the territories. And the ancestors always say, you know, sometimes I want to enthrall myself in paperwork. And sometimes they'll say, no, I need you to go to this place so you can see something. I need to show you something. And this week, they had me to go to Olympia, Washington Territory, and just look around on the grounds there, because those are our grounds as well. That's our land. And there was just so much that I got from looking around there, because this is one thing that I do know about us and about all that we do and about what was in our past. So some say that Shakamaksim is the capital, and some say Pennsylvania Territory, Philadelphia is the capital, and some say New York is the capital, which is formerly Amsterdam Territory is the capital for the Moors. I agree with everyone who says that, because I know that, and this is something that the ancestors made clear to me this week, we have always had a mothership government strategy. And what is a mothership government strategy? That's a strategy where we had 7 capitals at any one time, all functioning at the same time. And Olympus, or Olympia here, and Mount Olympus and all of that here, we've always had, yes, the 7 churches of Asia, and church means ecclesia, which means government. That's really what it was. The 7 hills of Asia, Justice Gilmore put that in the chat, absolutely. The 7 capitals, the 7 gates at the North Gate, and each and every one of the capitals, the 7 chakras, yes, each and every one of the capitals that we have has the 7 hills. And so in some of the capitals, they still have the same name, Capitol Hill. If you live in a territory that has a Capitol Hill, then most likely that was one of our territories where we govern from. And why did we have 7 hills? We have the 7 hills because of the 7 areas that we govern from. One of them, the first hill, will be the hill where law and government is. The second hill will be health and healing government. The third hill would be media, music, creative arts, theater, truth-telling hill. The fourth hill would be saba, which is religion and the rituals and the ceremonies and the culture and customs for our holy days and for the things that we do that make it ours, specifically ours. And saba means a whole lot of things. That's just one of the meanings of saba. The fifth hill would be the kinship unity. So maintaining the unity in the units, in the smaller units, which we used to call family, but making those kinships and bloodlineships and relationships healthier and doing things, all that we can to keep that unit healthy so that the larger unit remains healthy. That would be the fifth hill. The sixth hill would be erudition, teaching, and learning, the high sciences. Okay, and then the seventh hill would be commerce. Okay, now that's not to say that any of the other hills did not have all of those things in them. They did. Each of the hills had a little bit of all of the others in it, but it specialized in its area of specialty. And within those 7 capitals, okay, because they're, for example, if Olympus is the capital, then Shechem-Exem is so Olympus could be, and this is just hypothetically speaking, if Olympus was the law capital, where the Moors, a lot of the laws are made, etc., and this is just hypothetically, then where Virginia territory capital, where Empress Michelle is, would be health and healing government. And then in Shechem-Exem, that would be the government for the languages and the arts and the truth-telling, the media, etc. And then, Florida, Land of Flowers territory, that capital would be high sciences or commerce or, something like that. So again, the first hill would be law and government. Law and government. Health and healing would be the second, government. Creative arts, media, truth-telling, news would be the third hill or capital. Religion, rituals, the culture, the customs, the ceremonies. For example, we have a different ceremony for when we transition than, say, other, like the Albions. We have a different tradition, culture, and custom altogether that is sacred for the temples to pass in transition. And so those types of things would be taught, yes, just as Gilmore said, party time. It is indeed, with each transition we make. That would be the fourth hill. The fifth hill would be the kinship unity and the smaller units, making those smaller units strong and tight so that the larger unit is reflective of that. The sixth hill would be the high sciences, erudition, teaching, and learning. And then the seventh would be the high science of commerce. And then all of the hills would have a little bit of each one of the other hills there, because that's how we do, because nothing is disconnected from the other. Nothing that we do is disconnected. It's all connected. Okay? And so that is what the mothership plan is that even if, let's say Olympus is flooded, for example, because there was the great deluge that happened. If Olympus is flooded, then the Virginia territory capital government still has all 7 hills there. And so nothing is lost. And everything can be maintained, and continuity of government continues. Okay. And the mothership plan does not take millions of heirs to implement, because in reality it's already implemented. There are some in certain territories that are gravitating towards health and healing. You know, I see a lot of that in the Virginia territory, in the government that's going on there, the moorishe government. So it doesn't take, you know, millions. It only takes a remnant of us to do what needs to be done so that everyone can be assisted. So we need not look at it as an insurmountable task. It's actually already in motion. It really is already. Let's see. So the ancient structure for that, and contained within those 7 hills is the moorishe divyne, the imperial divyne. That is where the imperial divyne functions in all capitals and all territories, is within that 7-hill structure of government. Okay, and the ancient structure is already set up, it's already in motion. The infrastructure has always been here. It has never gone anywhere else. It's always been here. And if you go to these different territories, I was looking at how similar Olympus territory looks to Washington District of Columbia territory, and it looks similar to Richmond, Virginia territory, and it looks similar to New York territory, and it looks similar to most of these capitals. It has everything there, everything there. It has a temple of justice that's actually sitting right in front of the Capitol building, and it's called the Temple of Justice. It has the columns. It's beautiful. It also has the monument, and the monument, it sustained some damage during the deluge. So it's still there, but there's some damage to it. It's just remarkable how these 7 hills are everywhere. We are everywhere. Okay? And so when we surrender our conscious mind to the one mind, okay, when we stop thinking me, and start thinking all of us, that is what that looks like. All more. Everything for all more. Everything for all. When we surrender our conscious mind to that one mind thinking of our foremothers and forefathers, because they had that, and to their inevitable, eternal, ascending government principles, it becomes impossible for us to think like a slave ever again. Slavery mentality is no more when you start thinking on, when we give our minds to our foremothers and forefathers and the governing principles that they've always had. All we have to do to see their principles is look around. Just look around and then start doing what they did. They are the law. We are the law. They are the government. We are the government. They are not different from us. They're not separate from us. They are us. So with that, there was something in the chat. One of the heirs wanted me to say something about Nasera and Gesera. Nasera and Gesera is a corporate term for what's going to happen when the Moors wake up. Okay? And so if you look at what they're saying about Nasera and Gesera and just transpose it over to the Moors, that is what you will see. That's what you will see. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay? And no one could make that happen but the heirs. No one can make anything close to that happen. And that is a corporate version of the rules that we set in place for when we wake up. There's a certain way that all of the estate is to be tributed. And looking at that model is a good way to see how the estate is to be tributed, so that the economies will be what they should be with our gold-backed sovereign currency, with everything being backed by gold. That's really what that is. Okay? And so, let's see. Empress Melo has a court action also tomorrow. I want to make sure we get those mentioned in here as well. And her court action is Friday, June 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The call-in number for her court action is, let's see, let me scroll back up. The call-in number is, there it is. Thank you, 518-425-1624, and I don't think there's no access code to get into her court action. Come out and support her court actions and all of the court actions that the Moors are doing, because it's just amazing to see the results that we're getting from the court actions, and how it's just important for us to see that we have the authority to be our own courts and to self-govern, okay? And then also, Friday, the 12th, there's another court action as well. Empress Joniah has a court action Friday, June 12th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard. The dial-in number is 425-436-6200. The access code is 661646. So, and then the online ID is Joniah Joni L. Okay. So, here, let me make sure I get that information as well, so I can post it. Okay. So, having said that, are there any comments, questions, or anything that any of the more of you want to add, want to say? We did have a question that came up earlier, and we did not hear the whole question because I wanted to make sure everyone was on before we started. We didn't want to start before everyone could hear. So are there any other questions or comments? And you can star 6 so that we can hear you.
Islam?
Islam.
Oh, okay. Everybody can hear me? I just wanted to present a demonstration that I had the other day as I was traveling. I pulled over to get a motel room, and I had the money to pay for it, but it was about $100 a night. and something told me just to just to speak. So when I spoke to the guy, what came out of my mouth was I asked him, did he have a room available? He said, yes, he did. And I said, well, I'll take that room. However, there should be no charge for me because I am a government official. And this is my land, and I'm an heir to the estate. So he looked at me and said, let me call my manager. He called his manager. I showed him my nationality card. He came back and gave me the key and said, room 202, and no charge, and it just worked out for me. I don't know if that was the proper way to do it, but I spoke with a sense of confidence, and you know, I'm kind of a big guy. I hope I didn't intimidate him, but I just wanted y'all to know that by just speaking sometimes, they may not understand it, but it worked for me on that day. And
Islam.
I don't want to go too much, but it worked for me. I got my room, and I slept well.
Islam. That's good to hear. That is, and I'm seeing the errors in the chat, Islam, etc. It's becoming clear to us, okay, that those on our land who have been occupying it know who we are because we know who we are. And when we know who we are, no one can say they don't. No one can say that they don't recognize us. Hold on for just a moment. Let me just drop that from here. No one can say that they don't recognize us. They know who we are. When we know who we are, they do know who we are. And so,
this is Justice Jonaya. What area is he? What territory is he in? I just wanted to know what territory it is.
Noble.
Islam. At the time, I was in Iowa, Davenport.
Islam.
Okay. Yes, Islam.
May I make a comment? This is Gloria Velashevsky,
Sure.
Dallas, Texas. I had been using my nationality card at Target for about 9 months or so, and at first they gave me some problems, and then they just started not charging me taxes because that's where I am at this point in time. But they gave me a bit of some problems on Saturday, and they didn't really want to take a certain number that I gave them, and then I said, try this number, AA 222 141, and I said it's on the card, and it said, oh yeah, that's the number we're looking for. I yield.
Wow. Islam.
Thank you.
Yes, Islam.
Yes. This is Vandoria.
Listen. Yes, go ahead, Empress.
Oh, I'll make it quick. I've been very, very happy with my experience with taxes being taken off almost everywhere I go. But today I had an interesting thing that happened over at the nail shop. I swore up and down I will never walk into these places to get my nails done, but they was needing help. My nails and everything was needing help. So they refused me service even after I stood my square and everything. So I started asking him a bunch of questions, and he gave me his name. He told me he was the owner, and he told me that I asked him who gave him those orders that we have to wear a mask, and he said the governor of South Carolina. And I could have sworn that I read that somewhere that he didn't say anything or acquiesce in your court. So I don't know. Maybe you can fill us in on how to handle stuff like that when people reject service to
Yes.
us even after we stood our square.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for being peaceful through that, because we are to be calm and peaceful because we're not at war with anyone. Now, before we go to places like that, our paperwork should precede us, always. And that's something we got to get used to. Again, nobles are proactive. We are not reactive. And so we don't go in and create a situation. We let them know before we get there that we're coming and this is the expectation when we get there. And so that is actually always going to be your best bet. And actually it's not a bet, it's the best way to do business because after all, it is our land. They are visitors here. They know that. They're here to do commerce. And so we need to let our paperwork precede us, Empress. Before you go to places like that, you should, and if you're expecting some type of a, hold on for just a moment. If you're expecting some type of a service or, you know, whatever it is that you're expecting them to do, whatever commands that you're giving, you need to let it be known before you get there that the nobility is coming, and this is what we expect, this is why we expect that, etc. And the demonstrations will go a lot smoother, I can assure you. I can assure you, because that's what we're supposed to be doing anyway. Have you ever known someone calling themselves a prince or queen so-and-so to show up somewhere unannounced?
Islam.
Okay.
Islam?
Yes. Yes.
Islam?
Yes.
This is about Khalif Bey. That's what we call in the Moorish land a special appearance. Islam.
Yes. Moors are to always let your presence be known so that everyone knows what to do. And that's not
I'm
always.
Terrible. I don't know where, when I'm going anywhere until I get there. And then I go in expecting service. So I'm going to have to think differently now. I'm going to have to go anywhere now.
Well, here's the thing, Empress. Here's what you can do. Yes, we are strategic. We are, we're calculating. We use our high science. We do what we do. Now, Empress, here's a suggestion. If you know you like getting your nails done, if that's how you're going to do what you do and how to be sovereign, then go ahead now. Because let's say you got them done, and go ahead now and get the and give them an affidavit now. Get the affidavit ready now. Tell them you'll be back in 2 weeks to get to get the services, and this is your expectation. These are the commands, and this is why the commands are what they are. That's how we do business. I have plans on going to some of these places where we are actually supposed to be. There are some buildings and structures that we're supposed to be governing from. And I have, and they will know well in advance that I'm coming, and this is what I need to see. And these are the commands, etc. And then I'm going to go on the day and time that I say I'm going to be there. Flag and in tow and turban on, ready. That's how we do business. Because remember, we're being not trained because animals are trained. We're being groomed here now to do earth-wide commerce on a nation-to-nation level, okay? That's what this is for. And if you can do this on the level that we're at, where we're going someplace, and we're sending affidavits ahead of time saying we're going to be here, there, here. Because see, in reality, we already know what we're supposed to do. We're actually training them and getting them ready to see the affidavits coming, know that we're coming, and know what to do. Because, again, this gets a whole lot bigger and a whole lot better than it is right now. It gets a whole lot bigger and a whole lot better.
I'm not supposed to slap a lien on them or anything like that right now. I just need to practice that first.
Well, if they're not using gold and silver, you do need to slap a lien on them because they're doing corporate stuff on the land where we said we're not going to do that. You know.
Okay.
But that again, that is your call, Empress, because you're sovereign. You can do that however you want to do it. However you want to do it. I have found that the only reason they do that kind of stuff, any businesses, the only reason they're implementing things like that is because they have a corporate covering that they're answering to. So when they say, well, the governor said this, that's not your governor. We're your governor.
Right.
But we have to do our job and lean that corporate covering off of them. And then when you lean the corporate covering, yes, and you lean that corporate covering off of them, and then you say, okay, now you don't answer to them, you answer to us. And this is what you do. And we say it lovingly, firmly, lovingly. You know, let the affidavits be firm, and then when we go in, we're pleasant and good. We're calm. Because by the time we get there, it's been leaned and a court action has been done. And now they know their subjects. And anytime they get paperwork, now rest assured and know this. Anytime we do that, and then they get paperwork from some corporation saying you owe us this or you said that, all they do is take the documents that we sent them and say, the Moor said this, I don't owe you nothing. And that's where all of this turmoil over there on that side is coming from. If some of them are saying, y'all don't own the land, the Moors do, and they have not said that right there. So we don't have to do it. That's what's really going on.
That's clever. I like that. Thank you.
Yes. That's what's really going on over there on that side is there are faculties over there that are attempting to exert some authority that they don't have over other subjects. And the other subjects are saying, we're not subject to you, we're subject to the Moors. And they're awake. And they didn't say that, so I don't have to do that. The Constitution that they gave us is in effect. That's really what they're saying.
Okay.
So they just point to the Constitution and say, we don't have to do that because the Moors said we didn't have to. And that's why everything is all doing what it's doing over there, and we're doing the growing and ascending and rising over here. So keep that in mind at all times. And I'm telling you, it's happening even down at the little nail shop down at the corner. That's happening because there are faculties in those doing business as cities and those doing business as states and those doing business as commissions and those doing business as regulators and those doing business as tax assessors, et cetera, that are taxing those businesses and those nail shops and all of that. And those people are saying, the Moors said, they gave us this Constitution and they said that what you're trying to do to me is unlawful. And we're with the Moors. We're subject to so jure. See? So know that that's what's really going on. And keep that in mind as we do our business. And that's why we have to give them, there's a little bit of an echo coming from your line, Empress. I'm going to go ahead and.
Thank you. I'll mute out. Thank you.
Go ahead, you can do it. Yeah, you can do it. Okay. There is, and so that is why it's important now for us to start sending our documents saying we're coming here, or if it's a place that you frequent and that you don't make appointments for, just send them an affidavit now saying, I come there regularly. When you see me, this is what the deal is. And Justice Juramore said in the chat, Islam, that is happening worldwide. Yes, it is. Earthwide. Yes, it is. Absolutely it is. Okay? So they need to now see you because they know we gave them the Constitution. They now need to see that since we don't have to do what they say because they're a fake government, they were faking the whole time, we want to see the real one. And here you come with your affidavit to do whatever you are doing. And then You're going to be tested, of course. You're going to be tested. Know that. Just stand calmly. Bring the affidavit that you sent them with you. And then when the lips start moving, just hand them the affidavit and say, here you go. And then you don't have to say anything else because your paperwork has preceded you. That's how we do business, earth-wide. When we're getting ready to go to China territory or Thailand territory or Indonesia territory or wherever we go, we send ahead and say, okay, we're coming on this date at this time. And they prepare for that. They see what our commands are. And we're generous. We give them time to do whatever they need to do. We give them the opportunity to fix everything up and roll out the red carpet, or not. and then we go. Try it more. See, a lot of the programming starts coming into play when we start talking about how we govern. The programming comes into play and says, they're not even on. By the time I show up there, blah, 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 blah. That's programming. Have you ever tried, any of us, have we ever tried sending an affidavit from the government, of which we all are part and parcel, saying, hey, nail shop, I come there often, every 2 weeks or whatever, and I'm using nail shop because our empress brought that up. But let me just use any other. Hey, grocery store. I come there often. We are not taxed. As long as this fiat is being passed back and forth, we're not taxed. I'm coming in. I usually come in on a Friday, but sometimes I come in spontaneously because I forgot something or I want to. You don't have to tell them all that, but I come there regularly, and this is the expectation when I come in. This is the information you should be using, AA 222-14181, because let's let it be known that there's an 8-digit not taxed status that they put in their system. AA 222141. That's 8 digits. And when you send the affidavit ahead, send it to them and send it to their home office. And then if there's an issue when you go in, do not argue with them. Come on back home, get your lien ready, do the lien, do a court action, and then send it again with the court action and everything and say, okay, we're going to try that again. I'm coming in on this date at this time. And we're not spoiled heirs. We're doing things lawfully, peacefully. The paperwork is how we deal with that. And then when we go in, we could be pleasantly going in peacefully. That's why we're peaceful, because our documents are strong. They say what they say, and they are what they are. Okay? So that's how we do. And that goes for any demonstration that you've ever done that you feel did not go properly. Because we've heard the ones here that went even better than the Moors expected. And that was without, the one demonstration with the hotel was without documentation going forward. But when documentation, and that's great too, either way it's great. But as government, we need to, let them know that we're coming ahead of time, so they get used to seeing that this is the government. We've been the government. The government looks like this, and not like that. Others. The government looks like this. This is the government. This is the law. Okay. So, yes, and that goes for any demonstration. If the demonstration didn't go well, do it again, but do it that way. Try it that way. Send everything ahead of time first and then go do that demonstration again and see what happens.
Islam.
And then, yes, go ahead. And I was going to say, and then if that doesn't work, then the third time is the charm, because the third time you're going, and they will have been leaned and called into court. So you remove the corporate covering, so they can't say the governor said this and the governor said that, because you're the governor. You're standing right there. Islam. Go ahead, Justice.
I recently sent a document, a no bill due, and a copy of my annual corporate contract to the utility company here in New Jersey. And they took and put a label on it. Post office delivered it. They labeled it, said that I didn't have enough postage, and returned it.
Islam.
So it came back a couple of days ago.
Did you do it according to what was done in the video?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll need you to take a look at it, because they normally, the only time they do that is if you used a zip code in the where it's coming from. So even if you put the zip code in brackets, if you say Moorishe American Consulate, Justice Louis Anthony Mayel, etc., and then you put the zip code in brackets, they can send it back, because there's no zip code. The government doesn't have a zip code. And if you go on to Wikipedia and you look up like U.S. State Department, etc., they don't have zip codes on there either. They have GPS locations on there.
Oh,
they don't use zip codes. We don't either. And they're not even the government. Okay?
I'm going to try it again.
Yes, try it again, and make sure that you do not have on for where it's coming from. If it's coming from you, you don't have a zip code, and we're not even zip exempt. We've never had zip codes. We're not zip exempt. That's like saying tax exempt, because see, if we said we were tax exempt, then at any time they could turn around and say, okay, you're not tax exempt anymore. So, for the record, we are not taxed at all. We were never in that system for them to mark us as exempt.
Well, they did circle the zip code on my mailing label.
They what?
For my file. They did circle the zip code where I had zip codes in brackets. Yeah.
That's the only time that process is not, that's the only time they send them back, because they know what we're supposed to be doing. That's why I keep telling them more. When we're competent, they do what we tell them. And not to say that you're not competent, because we've all made that mistake. We've all made that mistake. So just next time, don't put a zip code at all where it's coming from, because we don't have zip codes. Mailing locations. A zip code is a product of their SETA-KV trust. Know that. Okay. Yes.
None of the postal service will not even take the mail if you don't have a zip code on it here. When you have it in brackets, but if you don't put anything on there at all, they won't even deal with it.
Not if when it's coming from us, we don't have zip codes, but the corporations do have zip codes. So you put a zip code for them, because that's a different trust.
They require on the return default address in case it's not delivered, is what they told us.
You're breaking up just a little bit. Say again.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Not sorry. They said they need it as a default in case something happens and they don't get it to the party that you're attempting to mail it to, so that it can be sent back.
No, that's some stuff that comes out of their mouths. That's why we don't bother talking to them, because they're telling you, listen to me carefully when I say this.
Yes.
They only know their citizen stuff. And so if you go talk to them, they're going to talk to you like you're a citizen, which is a lie for the heirs. But for the citizens do have to do that.
Yes. Here they don't have that box where you can bypass them and put it in that in the box. They have a white basket. They have a white basket that they give for prepaid, and you gotta go through that there's circus for that.
There's what?
To do the prepaid, you know, like watching your video and how you adjust it and rating up. They don't have a box for that. They have a basket.
Okay. Yes, a basket is fine, and or you can just place it on the counter. They usually have a place where you can place prepaid stuff on the counter, and someone will come and get it.
Well, I haven't done that. I'll give that. I'll try that option. Thank you.
Yes, try that. And I've actually come in several times over the past year, and they had the box locked where they forgot to unlock it because I guess they got busy right off the bat in the morning. And so I just take it in. I don't wait in line because I don't need to wait in line because I'm just going to slide it onto their, they have a desk, they have what do you call it? A counter. Sorry, they have a counter that you can just put it on and walk out, and at some point that somebody will come from the back and they'll collect all of the prepaid that's sitting on the counter.
Okay, we'll do that option. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. Yes, ma'am. I just love that the Moors are using the processes. I love that because we are finding out exactly what we need to find out in terms of who we really are and how these are things that, as long as we're continuing to do them together, they are honored. Okay? So that's exciting for me because for so long, just a moment, for so long, we, Moors were saying a lot of, they were not seeing what they needed to see in order to know. And they needed to see with the two eyes. Okay, they needed to see with the two eyes. And that's okay too. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with wanting to see things manifest. We all want to see things manifest. Okay. And now they're able to see that these processes really do work when we're in our rightful place. And so those are great testaments to hear, all of them. And all the way across the board on our land, we're getting results that we want to see simply because there's so many of us demonstrating. And we're not taking no for an answer in terms of, we're not warring back and forth. But if they say no, just go back to the table and see, okay, let's make sure that this is done and this is done and this is done, because I know, it is tempting to just exert your status, but we have to exert our status competently. And now that that's being done all over our land, and it's been being done, it's just being done in higher numbers now. We're getting the results that we're looking for. Islam. And we still have many results that we need to see, that we need to manifest. And as we continue to talk to one another about the demonstrations, see what worked, see what didn't work, we can't lose. We cannot lose. We can only win and grow and get better and better based on what we're doing right now. Are there any other questions?
Islam, how you doing?
Islam.
Right. Islam. All the Moors, I want to say, this is Nayel Bay in the Georgia Territory. All of these processes are, it kind of slows you. You got to be a little patient. I put in a lean on my cell phone and been having a little issues with them here and there. I just found out today, I was conversating with one of the customer reps. they wanted to kind of give me all kind of flack, and they want to honor my demonstration. But after I spoke to one of our little more sisters that was the representative, kind of gave a rundown as to what's going on, and they supposed to have got the paperwork, and they supposed to contact me back, and we kind of go from there, and whatever the case may be. And she seen it in her system where my paperwork, my affidavit did reach their department. And shortly after that, they actually, before I contacted them, they had turned my phone off. But shortly after I had spoke with her and gave her the rundown as to who I am, and we are the creditors of all things on our land and things of that nature. And I told her her status and things of that nature. And got to give her a little rundown and talking to her and things of that nature, giving her a little insight. And I think that they don't like that. So they probably overheard, they probably end up examining the conversation or just kind of looking over the conversation I had with her. I don't know how, but for whatever it's worth, I just wanted to let everybody know that shortly after that, they did turn my phone back on, and I haven't talked to anybody since then. And I yield.
Islam.
Yeah.
There you have it. I'm getting a little feedback. I'm going to mute where the feedback is coming from.
Mike. That's Mike with doing all them demonstrations. This is a bossy Mike.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's me, a bossy. I'm trying.
I hear you, my brother. Peace.
Islam. There is also so let me say this too. With regard to for example, the postal demonstration, there were some overarching things that needed to be done in order for that demonstration to be, and then we needed the numbers of Moors to do that demonstration in order for it to be successful. And we've met and crashed those thresholds. We've done what we need to be doing, and we've spoken to that system competently as Moors and as government and as the law. And when we speak to the systems competently as one, it's going to do what we tell it to do every single time. I'm telling you, as long as we're competent, those systems will do what we tell them. Now, there was a question in the chat about rent, about paying rent. There are some overarching things that we're working on right now so that we can move into that phase of our government on our land. Okay. But I will say this, there are some more who've done that demonstration successfully, even with where we are right now as a government and as a nation and as the law. And there are some many more who were not as successful with that, because a lot of Moors have been evicted. A lot of us have been evicted from places at one point or another during this us standing and being who we really are on our land. I will say that the ancestors have promised us, and I know this to be true because I see what they're doing. I see what's being done through us, and that's through all Moors, is that everything that we are quote unquote losing supposedly during this process, the ancestors they're going to give it back to us 10, 20, 100-fold through this whole process. Okay, but they want us standing, and we were not to stand without resistance. Because you can't really stand, okay, you won't know your strength until you've met with resistance. You won't know how strong you are until you're tested. And that's what this is for all of us. Okay, and so with regard to that rent thing, there's something in the chat saying that they found a quick rent template at Rise of the Moors website. For some, that may be effective as well. I say do the demonstrations, all of them. Whatever demonstration the ancestors prompt you to do, do it. Because you can't, we cannot lose with what we're using, which is our nationality. It's impossible. And then again, there are some other overarching things that are being done in our favor that we're being shown with our first eye, so that the whole property piece we can get on past that. We need to get, we need to go ahead and get past that. And the only way to get past it is to do the demonstrations, speak competently to the system, and let that system do what it's supposed to do. And it will do it. Those overarching things are not finished yet, but they're on the way. Okay. And once those overarching, there's a couple of overarching documents that need to be competently and executed the way we mean executed, not the way they mean executed. Properly executed, and that will be done here forthwith. And then we won't, then the only thing left to do is for Morse to just do the demonstration. That's it. Do the demonstration, speak competently, terminate all corporate contracts, and it's a wrap on that. And then we can move past that and continue our ascension, okay, to earth-wide commerce. Because we have gifts and talents that need to be realized, but we have to get our strength first, okay? And I see in the chat, Justice Theodore says he's crafting his affidavit as we speak. Islam. Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. And if the ancestors tell you, give you some demonstration to do, just do it. Islam. Are there any other questions? Questions, demonstrations, comments?
Islam.
Enlightenment, Islam. Go ahead, Empress.
This is Empress Lael Bat Israel. And I have several questions, Empress. Grand Rising Moors. The first question that I have, is I currently live in the Dallas, Texas territory. Happy to hear that there's other empresses in the area. Wanted to find out how I can potentially reach out to them. And the first question is that I currently live in a small apartment and wanted to find out, is it okay for me to try to find a home and do a repossession on it?
Are you sovereign?
Yes, I am. I'm new.
Okay.
But I am. I have my ID card, and I'm so proud and so happy.
Okay. Do you know what sovereignty means?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do. I've been following you. I think I've looked at all of your videos. Okay. I do. I absolutely do. I guess I'm just a little, not afraid by any means, but just a little hesitant. I'm so excited. Okay. I've looked at every video. So, yeah, I understand, and I'm ready to move forward. I just wanted to add a little more to that. I had a home in Virginia, and it was foreclosed on, unfortunately, back in 2000. I think it was around 2000. Can I go? I mean, I don't mean can I, because I should know the answer, but I guess, want reinforcement. Would it be okay for me to go and repossess my property back?
As a sovereign, you can do whatever you want to do on your land as long as it does not harm others. And what we always say, and hopefully this will assist in that reinforcement piece, is always demonstrate at the level of your overstanding. So ensure that you overstand that process of repossession before you demonstrate it. Okay, do the study on who really owns property, how, why is it that no one has? Because see, when you talk about them foreclosing on something, remember that that you never had a title because you were in citizen status when you had the property. That's why you think they foreclosed on you, but they didn't foreclose on you. All they did was shuffle around some corporate paper on top of the property that belongs to the heirs.
I see.
You see?
And that was a big question for me, is that the home is occupied, and I certainly would not want to hurt anyone, although I would like to have, title to the home. That was my question.
Okay, this is a question that I have for you with regard to what you just said. You said that you would like to have title to the home. Who do you think can give you title to the home?
Me.
Absolutely. You actually already have title to it. You just have to draw it up. You just have to originate it, generate it on moorishe government letterhead. Now, there are processes that need to be put in place, okay, for that to manifest. Study those processes, okay? Study them.
Okay.
You do need a allodial title. You do need to have terminated all corporate contracts where mortgages and all of that stuff is concerned. You do need to ensure that that you know the difference between your appellation in lowercase letters and a corporate nom de guerre in all capital letters, as well as a slave servant name which has the first letter capitalized and the rest of the letters in lowercase. You need to know the difference between all three of those.
Yes.
And
okay.
And I. Okay. Do the
yes, I do.
That,
I do.
In
capitis nolo.
Yes. You will see the basis of the paperwork that they issued. Okay.
So I need to gather. I see. Need to gather all of the information and study that information prior to moving forward.
Yes. Never do, see, as Moors, we learn our science, because that's all we're doing is remembering it. We know it all already. We just need to remember it and recognize it. And so do the study first and then do the demonstration. Okay?
Will do. Thank you, Empress.
You're welcome.
I yield.
Islam.
Oh, Empress, before I go, I didn't know if the Empress from Dallas is available, if there's any way that we can contact each other. I am on the phone. I don't have any visual contact at this time. However, I would like to, potentially meet other Moors in the area and assist each other in building.
Okay. Are there any Moors in the Dallas area on the call right now?
Yes, Gloria Valichkovsky Bay in Dallas.
Okay,
so, Bay. Okay.
Yes, so I'm going to, let's see, Gloria, if you will text me right after this, and Empress, if you will text me right after this, that way phone numbers are not going out onto YouTube, unless you don't mind, because see, I don't mind mine going out there.
Empress, now when you said text you, is there a number, I guess another number that we...
The number is 334.
Okay.
294. 9828. And that way I can connect the two of you so that no one's phone number is going out over to YouTube, even though it's, we put our numbers out there, but some people don't want their numbers to be out there. I don't mind mine being out there because that's what we signed up for, and we're bold and we can, we do what we do, and that's what we do. So Islam.
Yes, yeah. Islam. I yield.
Islam. There was a noble who was going to ask a question also after, or give a comment, or give us some enlightenment, etc. Are you there, Noble? Okay.
Islam.
Oh, okay. There you go. Islam.
Yeah, I'm here. My bad. Yeah, I had a question about as far as the repossession, right? This Mike Bay out the Michigan territory. Okay, yeah. I've pretty much done everything. I've done the written statement for allodial possession. I sent out affidavits to the chief of police, the governor, the mayor, sheriff. I pretty much put everybody on notice for a piece of property, right? Okay, so I went and looked up the property today. It's taken off the market. So I called the listing agent, trying to converse with her. We talked for a second, and she seemed compliant. And then I get a call from the police about 10 minutes later, saying that if I go over there, they're going to arrest me. And my gut is telling me to go over there and test them.
No.
You know?
No, don't do that. I know you're bold, Mike, Justice Mike. I know you're bold like that. But listen, they will do what we tell them when we're competent. So there's something in. Have you done allodial title to the property?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Have you leaned everyone involved? Have you leaned everyone involved?
I leaned the Century 21 real estate company. I leaned the real estate company out here, the one in Madison, New Jersey. I leaned the CEO, the marketing director.
I'm talking about the two people that you picked up the phone and called. Those two people. Did you lean them, the policy enforcers and the realtor?
I did lean the realtor, but I just now got the call from the policy enforcer today. And so I said, okay, well, I know my next move. And I told him. I was like, well, he was going off. He's talking about, oh, they got the deed. I'm telling him deed is not ownership, blah, blah, blah. You know, so we go back and forth and whatnot. And so I told him this is my notice of intent to lien. And so that's what I'll be working on tonight.
So you just answered your own question about what to do next, right? Lien them. And do not go. See, listen, this is one thing I do know about that whole property piece too, is when the time is right, and we're there, for some, they've already experienced it. But when the time is right and when things are done properly, we're not going to have to fight those people at all. We're not going to have to, okay, hold on for just a moment. We're not going to have to fight those people. We don't have to fight them anyway, first of all. But we must be competent at that whole piece right there. And there are some overarching things that need to be done in order for that to happen. These are things that probably could have been done 100 years ago, but they were not done 100 years ago. We've been blessed with the opportunity to do them, and so we're going to do them. Okay? We're going to do them. So do not test them, because we don't want to have to, have you stand on your square from behind bars. That's not fair to you. Not fair to them either for the nobility to just show up somewhere. We just talked about that. So don't do that.
Right.
So that's not how nobility, that is not what nobility does. Nobility does things properly, competently, and well in advance.
And see, I did all that. I even sent the default notice to the property people. I sent the default notice to the sheriff, and I told him that I was going to be over there at a certain time. He never showed up.
Have you done any court action? Have you done any court action? You haven't?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
No.
It's wrong.
Okay, let me ask this one more question, and I'll yield. Okay, so say for instance, I've done my allodial title, right? Okay, I go to the property, they come over there, and they try to arrest me. The so-called owner comes with his deed. I have the allodial title. My title should trump his deed. You
don't want to get into that type of back and forth. I would suggest that you not do that. And again, we can't tell sovereigns what to do, but my suggestion to you is not to do it that way, because we don't have to fight for what's ours. We just have to be competent and do it the right way. And you, by your, you know, some of the things you shared with us, and thank you for sharing them, is that there are still some things that have not been done. You need to do those things first. Okay, that's why those processes are there. We want you out here with us, Justice. We don't want you. We want you out here with us, okay? So we suggest, because we don't tell sovereigns what to do, but we suggest that the things that need to be done are done. Do not get into a back and forth with them. Don't do it. Do not do it. It takes, listen, all the things that we're doing right now, that whole property piece, there are still some things that need to be done. There's still some things that need to be done. All of us together need to do them, and then each of us need to do them. And the court actions and removal of those corporate coverings, because see, they're coming to you with corporate coverings. And clearly, you're a little bit kind of feeding that because you keep picking up the phone, calling the corporation saying, hey, corporation, is everything all right with you? You know, and that means, and if you have to do that, that means there's some things you need to look at in your process. Because when the processes are what they should be, we're going to know without a doubt, and we're not going to have any resistance. Because in reality, right now as it stands, the estate is wide open for us and only us. All other factors are being held back, but we need to be competent.
So what do you think it means by them taking it off the market?
There is a valid claim by the heir. They can't go past that. And then, and here's the thing even about that, because many, I've seen that so often that it's just, it's a beautiful thing. When the Moors put some sovereign documents on the public record, like a allodial title and a lien on a property, it comes off, even in their system, it comes off of their corporate system. You know, hold on for just a minute. It comes off of their corporate system, like that. Okay. But then, after a certain period of time, if the competent measures are not taken, they will put it back in their system, back on the market, quote unquote market. You know, okay. We must be competent in what we're doing. So again, I would suggest that you not go over there, but that you study and always demonstrate at the level of your understanding. Meaning, and this is another suggestion that I make. I usually
honor your suggestions.
Islam. And I honor your demonstrations as well. I always tell Moors, because when I'm going to do something, I do the lien, the court action, and all of that first. I just get it all out of the way from the beginning. Then I go and demonstrate and see what happens. And when and they gauge, we gauge and they gauge, you know, and we're finding that to be very effective. So I would suggest that you do the same. Court actions, Justice. You know about the court actions. Do them. Do them. Islam. I yield for that. Islam. Justice Yearmore. Yes, you're welcome.
I just wanted to the question that was asked, why they're doing it, because he put a cloud on the title. Once you put a cloud on the title company which provides the insurance is going to say, hey, we got a problem, you got to clear that up. That's the reason why.
Yes. 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 I know of a Moor in particular who, hold on for just one moment, Empress, and then we'll get to you. I know of a Moor in particular who put liens on 10 properties at once, and all 10 of the properties came off the market. All 10 of them came off the market. And again, you know, they're telling you that they hear you and that your claim is valid, but there's more we have to do. Okay, and until we do those things, because again, this is all about making sure that the heirs are competent to govern the vast estate. That's what this is on both sides. Peaceful, competent governance is what our estate deserves. And it deserves it from us and no one else. And that's what's being done right now. So I'm excited about that. I don't know about y'all, but I am just thrilled about all of that. Are there any other questions? Empress Angela, did you have a question or comment?
Oh, yes. I just was going to ask, like, when you terminate all the trustees, so they're acting as trustees over you, when you terminate all the trustees, wouldn't that stop the enforcers?
I hear the grandbabies back there. Apparently, they are having a good time. Okay, so there are a lot of things that stop policy enforcers. But the thing is, we have to go from start to finish with the processes, okay? They are held in abeyance until we make the next move, because this is chess, believe it or not. This is definitely chess. It is not checkers. And so when we do things like terminate all corporate contracts, that's a solid move right there. And it's going to chop some things off. But then there's some other things that we have to handle. Okay, so once we do that, then comes liens and court actions, and then after court actions, it's going to be competent claim, and it's not even claim, it's competent command. And that's how this process is working, you know, is we're being taken step by step by step, Empress. So the answer to your question is yes, but then there's more you must do. We have to study, we have to keep rising, there's more to it. We would think, because see, at some point, we thought that just declaring our nationality was enough to get us put up in, you know, 10,000 square foot domicile and all of that. And the ancestors are like, no, spoiled Aaron. You must be competent. Yes, we have to be competent at what we're doing because they put those processes in place and now we have to learn them. You know, we have to learn them because, again, we're governing and there will be others who come and who will want to do things on our estate. And we have to be able to govern them and how they deal on our estate so that they don't overrun the heirs just because the heirs have not done their study. And we're doing our study, so we're good. We just have to keep going. Our study never ends, by the way. Yes, Empress.
Islam. There is Chris Bay. He's posted twice, at least twice. She wants to know about the court actions. What
was it?
Well,
and you were going to respond to that? No, you were going to respond. Go ahead.
I just wanted you to be aware that it was in there, and they wanted an answer to it.
Well, okay, let me go back through and look.
I could answer it.
Sure you could. Go ahead, Empress. You saw it. Go ahead. Answer it.
Okay, this is Chris Bay. The question is, what do you do during a court action if the policy enforcers show up? And after the court action, what's the next step? So what we've been doing is we are identifying within your script. You put in your script to identify all of the corporate people that are on the call and have them to give their name and nationality as commanded, you know, according to our affidavit that we put out. So it doesn't matter whether they just on the call to listen. They have to identify who they are. And if they refuse to identify, you automatically drop them from the call. And then so far that's worked. So you also have to learn how to navigate on your platform so that you know how to okay. So after the court action, next step is to send out a notification of failure to appear, along with any proof of evidence of fraud, like if it's a bill or something from a company, that's going to, you know, as part of proof of fraud. Also, the UCC, and any other affidavit that's addressing any, shows any fraud that they have, caused against you. So hopefully that's clear enough. If not, like she can add to that, or anyone else can add to that. But that's where what I've been doing, and of course everybody else has been doing also. I yield.
Yes. So thank you, Empress Jonai. I appreciate it much. I knew you were going to answer the question. Yes, I love it. I do. So should they show up for court, they are to state their name and nationality as commanded. Okay. And no matter what they say to name and nationality, no matter what they say to that question, or to that command rather, they are subjects on the land. And it is at that point that you can ask them or give them whatever command you want to give them. This is how I would handle it if they say, oh, I'm John Doe and I'm U.S. citizen. Okay, well, did you know that U.S. citizen is an unlawful status? Are you aware of that, John Doe? Also, John Doe, did you know that everything that you do on this landmass right here, you're doing it as subject to the government and the law, and all Moors are the government and all Moors are the law? Are you aware of that? And no matter what the answer is, it's still going to be the same thing of you, John Doe, must be in your proper status. And the reason that you call them into court in the first place is because they are outside of their status and they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. They're acting in a corporate capacity. And that's why you lien the corporation before they even get to court, you lien them. Because that's actually a part of that whole court action process is we tell them and we put it in the language that all commerce by said corporation has been terminated by way of sovereign universal commercial code 1 lien. And so they won't be able to do any commerce without answering as to they should be doing everything as a subject, in subject status. Okay? And if they come to court, when they come, and then you ask them, do you consent to subject status? If not, you'll be deported, and you can go to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. You can go to prison, or you can be deported, or both, because the sovereigns are the law, and we are the government on the land, and no one is going. And corporations are unlawful, and that's why you call them in, is because they're trying to lien in some way or another the estate, or we don't call people in for things like stepping on our toes and all that kind of stuff like that. We don't call people in for that kind of stuff. Right now, we're frying big fish. The corporations that are attempting to lien en masse. We don't do the one-on-one. Bob down the street did this, that, and the third. No, let's get Bob and the whole corporation that's attempting to violate the Moors in the territories.
Yes, may I interject?
And then sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that we do have some of these intruders that come in and claim that they are Moors, and that they will say that they're Moorish American, and they will state in appellation, but we know who they are. And when they do that, what I've decided to do is to command that they also give the name of the company, whoever it is that they're working for, also a place of location for mailing. So in other words, I'm going to get enough information from them in order to lead them. And then if they are not wanting to provide it on the call, I would automatically drop them. And they will not be able to come on the call again unless they provide that information, a proof of their location, like I said, and a name or appellation that actually matches the location of where they're coming from. And most likely they're not going to want to give it. I yield.
Mm-hmm. And then you can let them know too. Another part of that question was after the court action, what's the next step? You send the arrest command if that is necessary. Okay. If they refuse to answer questions, that's arrest command. If they say that they're an American, because that came up, what if they say they're an American? Well, you're not an American. You've lied in court. You perjured yourself. That's an arrestable offense as well. So the arrest command goes to the provost marshal, and we send for their arrest. Okay. And then after that, you can do follow-up commands with regard to any type of violations that have happened. You can send follow-up commands to say, okay, now that everyone is in their rightful place, because you know you're a subject now, either you're a subject or you've been arrested. So now we speak to that resource again and say, okay, this is what the initial command was. And now that those court actions have taken place, we have a judgment on the record in our favor. Therefore, based on this judgment, this is the command of what's going to happen. We're returning all property back to us, physically, because it's already our property anyway. It's already our property. Okay. And I see in the chat where it says command them to present a written affidavit on their claim. Their affidavits don't hold any weight. That's the issue. They ask a claim of what? They don't own anything here. And anything that they occupy has to be at the consent of the Moors. And they don't need to present any claim for that. Claim what? No, you go where you're supposed to go as a subject, and you do what you're supposed to do as a subject. And so for some people, they say, well, that's just inhumane. It's just not fair. Well, we understand the sentimental piece about that. We do have a heart. We're compassionate. However, the law is the law, and we get in trouble if we don't follow the law and then hold them to the law. The law says slaves can't own anything. The law says servants and subjects can't own anything. That's the law.
Yeah,
because
the problem
then
is
you're giving to a subject that which belongs to the heirs. That's theft on your part.
Exactly. May I interject?
Sure.
When you were talking about that, the reason why we enforce the law is because when we don't enforce the law, they just keep taking advantage of you. So you do have to draw a line, send them to a place where they cannot harm anyone anymore.
Yep.
So that's the whole idea. It's not that we're doing anything, terrible, or we're not being honorable. It's just that that's the last, solution. It's just to remove them. I yield.
Yeah. Well, by the time they come into our court, by the time they get to our court, they've done some things, that need to be addressed, but again, anyone acting where they send something in all capital letters, that's unlawful on our land. That's unlawful on our land. And everything that we do it. Those are all resources. Anything in all capital letters is a resource. It's not a contract. It's a resource, and we use it as such. And no one's going to violate us in the process of us using the resources on our land. That's what the court actions cover. That's what they do. And the liens, So, yes, so after the court action, hopefully that answers the question with regard to then you give them follow-up commands. If you need to send out an arrest command, send out an arrest command. And then you go from there based on your follow-up commands, whatever those follow-up commands are. Okay.
Also, the reason why May I interject?
Go ahead, Empress. Oh, absolutely.
I was just going to say the reason why we're doing the mock course is to help build more confidence, so that more of us can do that, because that's where we're lacking. We're lacking in confidence in being ourselves because we have been put in a subservient position for so long, to where it makes it, fearful to try to give our authority, our rightful authority, when we, are wanting to put the law into place, or enforce the law. It's just that, they pretty much scared that out of us. But by doing the mock course or any demonstration, it helps build your confidence, because you see what I see is you're able to see the authority that you really do have when you actually enforce it, because it shows. It just shows, and you can see that, and that's what gives you more confidence.
Yes.
Yes, I yield.
Yes.
The interesting thing is, like, when I did a demonstration going through the airport, and this was my first time. I was still pretty fresh up, going through this, but I had enough confidence that I knew what my position, and I knew that they didn't have the authority. So I'm testing it, and my daughter thought I was crazy. but when I presented and said that I was a Moor, and so they decided to look through my bag, and as he was looking through my bag, and I said, "You have to get consent for that, don't you?" And you could see that they were just kind of like, "Oh my God." You can tell when you said something that they know that they don't have the authority, and so I just kind of observed. And then he says, "Well, yeah, we do have to go through your bag." And at the time, I didn't want to create any kind of confrontation, so I just said, "Yeah, okay," and I grabbed my bag and then I walked away. but it was just the experience of seeing how they react when they know that you know. It's a difference. Yes, I yield.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I mean, so again, we've been doing demonstrations along those lines for, for a minute now, and now Moors, hello, now is the time to start sending affidavits ahead so that we don't have to go through that stuff. Now is the time. Now that we're standing, now is the time. If we know we're going to travel, send the affidavits ahead and tell them, no, we don't consent to any searches or seizures of anything. Okay? And in fact, we've already done a court action. We have a ruling here on the record that we're going to go ahead and go through freely and do what we need to do. And we'll go through, we're going to observe what needs to be observed in terms of going through the measures, but there'll be no extracurricular searching and carrying on. We don't do any of that. Okay. So our paperwork should always precede us. It's time for us as a nation now to move into that part of standing as government. That's a new part for us as a whole. Some have been doing it all along. Others are just now moving into where we send our documents ahead of us and say we're coming, and this is the expectation when we get there, and that we are who we are, right? So I'm excited about this next phase. I really am, because it's important for us to see how people respond when nobility comes through, when we've let them know ahead of time who we are. Islam. Justice.
Islam. I'm going to work on that, I promise. I'm real spontaneous.
We all have to. Yeah.
Yeah, and free going and just go whenever I feel like it, but I'm going to work on that.
Well, Empress, you know, even those of us who are spontaneous and you know, we just go because we got to go, we go to a lot of the same places. You know, we go to a lot of the same places repeatedly over time. And so we can send those places affidavits and let them know, okay, you've been seeing me for 2 or 3 years, and you knew that I was the nobility, but now I know, and so we want to get some boundaries established and make some things clear so that there are no misunderstandings on your part as to the expectation. Okay, and then that will also help us manage our own expectations as to who we are. When we are proactive, we have a right to a certain level of expectation. But we have to be proactive competently from the beginning. And this is that time. We're moving into that phase now of testing where okay, everyone knows the Moors are awake. Everyone knows. Just when we talk to them, we just talk to them like, well, don't act like you don't know. You do know that you know who we are. We know who we are. That's out there already. And so let's just get past that so that we can get on with the business at hand. Okay.
Islam?
And so, Islam, yes, Empress May.
Yes, I just want to one quick comment, is that when we start doing that, stepping out as far as the government and the functions and things, I believe a beautiful thing you're going to find, because I experienced some things a while back, is that some of those people in those functions or in those positions right now, the front line and even those in the supervisory positions, you'll find that when you start doing what you're supposed to do and stepping in, they don't want the responsibility and accountability.
Right.
You're going to seriously, you're going to find that they're so glad that somebody else has stepped up and wanted to do this. And I truly know that that's what's coming. That's what you're going to find. So anyway, I yield.
And yes, Empress, yes, let me applaud that, because it's so true. This is going to be such a breakfast fight that it's just unbelievable. This is the breakfast fight part, okay? When we're in our nobility and doing as...
She got so excited, I think she cut herself off.
I hope not.
She'll come back on it. She'll be back in a minute.
Oh, that is funny.
Oh. The energy level was too high.
I think this is who she is. Oh, man.
Okay.
So anyone else? Is she back?
I said, Empress, you got so excited you cut yourself out there.
I did, because I know what's coming. You know, it has been seeming like a fight for some of us this whole time. It's like, you know, is nobility worth it because we're fighting so much? But this is the breakfast fight part when we're proactive, you know. It's about to be what it should be. The people that are out there who've been gatekeeping, quote unquote, because they've been keeping the North Gate, quote unquote, you know, they're ready for us to step up and just be ourselves so that they can take a break.
That's
you know? And so all we have to do is be ourselves, competently send the documents ahead of time, and it's going to be piece of cake. Can you imagine 1 year from now, when we've been doing this for a whole year of sending our documents ahead of time, and we're going to these places, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and things are running smoothly, and now we can elevate to even the next level of where we need to be.
Exactly.
That's where we're going. Exactly. This is exciting to me. I'm loving every second of it, you know, because we would not be denied, okay? We just would not take no for an answer. This is our estate, and we know it. And so all we have to do is continue doing what we're doing, continue demonstrating competently, and now moving to this level of letting everything be known in terms of us coming you know, letting our presence be made known ahead of time so that they can, because they need time to prepare for the arrival of the nobility. Oh, I just love it. Y'all just don't know. I just get tickled pink when I'm doing this. I love it because it's, you know, you can feel it in the energy, you know. But go ahead, Empress. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just, my Islam was in agreement.
Oh yes, Islam, you know. So we have about 5 minutes. It is 5:55 on the nose here on the west end of a maximum, and so we want to go ahead and start preparing to continue the call on Sunday. But thank you all for coming, and if there's any other questions that we can answer at this time, or comments, or if you have some enlightenment where you can teach us some things, we're here for that too. Always, always, always. If not, peace and grand rising, and just continue doing what you're doing, nobility. We love it.
I'm charged. I am so charged.
Islam.
Islam,
Grand rising, everyone. Love you.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Grand rising. Peace and love.
Grand rising.
Yes.
Grand rising.
Grand and triumphant rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising. Peace and love.
Grand rising. Peace and love. Yes. Islam.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
There'll be a link to a recording.